You want me to clap for you?
Okay. Are we slating? Okay, what are we doing?
Like a slate? Dustin, I cannot with you.
Okay.
We're ready. Okay.
Let's roll.
We'll count it in. 3, 2, and 1.
Boom.
Hey, y'all. I'm Ebony K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin Ross, you just look, it's giving minty fresh.
I will take that.
Yeah.
I will definitely take that. Winter fresh even.
Spearmint.
Yeah, spearmint. Let's do it. I love that. Minty fresh, right where I want to belong.
Right
so
where
that's
you
a good
wanna
thing.
be.
Thank you, my love. You look beautiful.
Thank you, sweetheart.
As always.
I'm getting ready for this springtime weather.
You look very Hamptons today.
You know, I was feeling
Yeah.
a little, even though it's just Midtown.
Yeah. It's Hamptons in the mind. Okay.
Right, mentally,
Yeah.
I'm on the shore.
That's right.
Dustin, I heard you were in New York this weekend, which is not really usual for you.
It's not, but because I've been away from my home so much and I had so much stuff to do this weekend, I just, elected to
Keep it local.
Yeah.
Well, a bird on the street told me that you gave a TED Talk.
I did. TEDx Asbury Park. Yes.
And you actually brought this grown man. I ain't gonna out who it was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, not when these cameras and microphones on. But I'm gonna tell you when they go down. You brought this grown man to tears, but joyful tears. And that's what he said. The way in which, I don't want to spoil it. At some point when we get the full link, we're going to include it in the show notes of this show.
Oh, man.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
Absolutely. But he said, your framing, he said, your stature. I said, well, I saw him. I said, he looked good. He said, well, we know he looked good.
Oh,
and then
man.
he said, but the command.
Yeah.
And the storytelling you did.
Yeah. Thank you, Ebony.
In
And thank
honoring
you. Frank and
the frame.
Neff.
Yes.
Yep.
It just, So this grown ass man, I'm not about 50-some-year-old man, grown, was moved to tears, but also inspired and really, really just loved it. So
I'm so
congratulations
grateful. Thank
to
you so much. Thank you to everybody involved in making that happen.
Yeah.
It was an honor to be invited to participate in that, and I'm so grateful. So
No, we're grateful. I can't wait to see the full thing. And shout out to the tailoring.
Yes.
Because oftentimes... Dustin, aesthetically, your, I would say, signature look is luxury athleisure, right? It's going to give the best of fitteds and tees and joggers, and your sneaker game is all.
You know me very well.
But I have also known and am blessed to know you in a capacity where I've also seen you step into your corporate era. In a few different live events we've done.
Yes.
That's a sight to behold.
I really appreciate
because
that.
The tailoring,
Ebony.
it's the tailoring.
Yep.
Now, you a good-looking man, but we've all seen good-looking people not look their best.
Yeah, so I like to be able to be myself and still be appropriate. So
Beyond.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
Thank you, my love. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to keep the flower giving going for a minute.
Let's do that.
I want to give some flowers to the East Kings County alumni chapter of the good ladies, the great ladies.
Come on with it.
Of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay.
These women, Dustin, invited myself and 2 other distinguished authors. Shout out to really, really, really brilliant Shanita Hubbard, who wrote a brilliant book, Ride or Die. Also, Deisha Dyer, whose book just came out. It's called Undiplomatic. Deisha was the White House social secretary under the Obama administration.
With prestige, you know what I mean?
And what I loved about this young woman, it was my first time meeting her. Shanita, I've had the good pleasure of meeting and working with before. But Deisha is just speaking of aesthetics, right? What you see is very much what you get. And she has made it appropriate.
Yes.
How about that? She's like,
I love that. I love people like that.
Yes. She said, baby, you getting this nose ring, you getting these hoops, you getting this natural hair.
Yeah.
And in the White House.
Yeah.
Because that's what time it is.
Yeah.
So anyways, really, really beautiful. Y'all check out her book, Undiplomatic, on sale right now. Paperback version of Ride or Die, Shanita Hubbard's book. And the thing we all have in common, Dustin, we all exist as authors, as Black women authors, because of a great Black woman named Krishan Trotman. Shout out to Krishan over there at Legacy Lit and Hachette. So shout out to DST though.
Yes.
And I flex on AKA all the time. So I want to give much love and recognition to the wonderful ladies of Dustin. They were so warm, Dustin. They were so welcoming. And let me tell you about this event. It's called Literature and Luxury.
Right. Look, the intersection of your world.
It was heavy on both.
Okay. We love to see that. We love to see that. Okay.
The gift bags were giving.
Okay.
It wasn't no chocolates.
How about that?
It was literally Hermes. Literally Gucci. Down. The Veuve Clicquot was the side piece. And I'm going to leave it right there.
What a room.
And with that, we're going to go to this docket.
Okay. What a room to be in.
Shout out to DST and the lovely ladies. Okay, so on this docket today, this is a nice one. It starts off on a really, unfortunate, sad note. Y'all are seeing it. And it's interesting because we touched on this case last episode. Of course, I'm talking about Jeezy and Jeannie Mai. And just as quickly, y'all, just to show you how in real time, how fast these cases of custody and things move. We recorded that episode, Dustin. We talked about Jeezy at that point filing for sole primary custody. Before the episode was released, he already changed his filing to want joint.
Yes.
Okay. And now we've got yet another additional layer here where Jeannie Mai, y'all have seen it, I'm sure, has filed for domestic abuse charges. So she's now saying that there was physical and emotional domestic violence in the relationship. We're going to get into how that's going to affect the custody hearing part when we get into that story. Then we're going to move on. Puff, y'all have seen, has now filed to dismiss some, not all, but some of the sexual assault motions currently against him. When I saw this headline, Dustin, I had some thoughts. I want to know what you thought when you first saw the headline, but I also want to speak to why, from a legal tactical point, this is not a bad strategy.
Okay.
And that dismissing some, not all piece, the significance of that. And then we're going to conclude with these rap beefs. I don't know. I mean, it's probably because I'm an auntie at this point, Dustin, but they look so sophomoric to me.
Yeah.
Isn't it just giving playground?
Well, the people that we watch engage in a rap beef are dead.
Oh, and the last good one, those gentlemen are well into their 50s.
I mean,
so we're talking about Nas and Jay-Z. And that's the last, but the real one, those gentlemen are deceased. And speaking of deceased, that's the problem with Young Drake, with Young Aubrey. Young Aubrey is a good example of when you really tried it.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that.
Big time.
Big time. And y'all know what it is. We'll talk about it in more detail when we get to it on this docket. All right, Dustin. So we've unfortunately seen not just the filings, we've seen the photos.
Yeah.
Right? Jeannie Mai has formally now come forward and publicly accused her estranged husband, because I'm pretty certain their divorce is not final yet, her estranged husband, Jeezy, of physical and emotional domestic abuse. And I certainly hate to see it.
Yeah.
Right? Some quick facts for y'all. Jeannie is claiming that in January of 2022, so this is a full 2 years ago, this is right after she had given birth to Monaco, their one and only child together, that Jeezy refused to let her leave a parked car, called her a whore, this is in the complaint, y'all, and hit her with a closed fist. And that closed fist part is important legally, because if that proves to be true, that is an aggravating factor as it relates to the nature of the accusation. She says that closed fist eventually landed across her cheekbone and eye, so it was contact made, and it caused hemorrhaging. So that's I would say at this point the most severe. But there's other instances, Dustin. She claims that Jeezy choked her from behind. This is in San Francisco at a Ritz-Carlton, going up a set of stairs, and then he pushed her down the stairs, called her, and this is directly from the complaint, y'all, a fucking bitch. We move on. It says that at that San Francisco Ritz-Carlton incident, security was involved, so there is an incident report.
That corroborates.
Yeah, that's the right word. Corroborates. It does corroborate many of those statements in the complaint, and says that she stated that she felt unsafe. Again, that corroboration's in the report. And the judge is going to look at all of it. So we don't have to even pretend to be judge nor juror.
Right.
This stuff will be determined. It goes on to some details, right? So Jeannie says that, listen, we went to our pastor. We sought some counseling about the very first incident in which the therapist and the counselor talked about the injuries sustained. Then she goes on. There's another incident where she talks about how Jeezy was drunk behind the wheel of a golf cart and that they both got injured. So by my count, that's 3 so far, and that's not exhaustive, Dustin. There's additional things in the complaint. Also, the photographic evidence. So when you file a complaint, you do, especially a domestic violence one or any type of assault, you do have an opportunity to present affidavits, if you will.
Yeah.
So that photo evidence is a part of that. She claims that when she sent Jeezy the photos and screenshots of her bruising and all of this, he said, and I'm going to quote it, "I'm so sorry, babe. Haven't forgiven myself for putting you in danger. I've been uneasy and sad about it." Again, according to this filing, they filed for divorce October of 2023. The little girl, Monaco, found Jeezy's AK-47 assault rifle in a zipped Louis Vuitton duffel. And this was in his house and in the living room floor. Jeannie Mai also claims that he has he has other children, including a 6-year-old from a previous relationship, and apparently that little girl has found firearms before. This is all according to Jeannie Mai. Lastly, Jeezy has spoken out. We do have a quote that is being reported from Page 6. "This malicious attempt to tarnish my character and disrupt my family is ridiculous," end quote. He goes on to accuse Jeannie Mai of manipulation and deceit, 2 words, and added that he will continue to fight for court-mandated joint custody. Before I go on further, Dustin, I just want to kind of name that even just hearing that rundown of facts, I'm certain is triggering for people, our listeners, our jurors who have themselves been in any way touched by domestic violence. If that is you and you need any resources, I want to encourage you to reach out to safehorizon.org. That's safehorizon.org. If you're anywhere in the city of New York, any of the 5 boroughs, there's resources there. And if you're beyond New York, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, because this is a lot. And that's the thing about whether if you've been a victim or a loved one even of a victim of this type of abuse, when you see these stories in the headlines, they're stories, and yes, they might be about other people, but they tend to recall.
Take you right back there.
Right back there.
Yeah.
I don't care if it was childhood, adulthood, high school, college, 40, 50, you name it.
You know, listen, this was unnerving to say the least when I read all this stuff that Jeezy is being accused of by Jeannie Mai. So full stop when it comes to domestic violence in any relationship. Complete stop. That is just inappropriate, and it's unexcusable.
And it's unacceptable.
Completely, no matter who in the hell it is.
Correct.
So for me, I guess when it comes to looking at this through the lens of the legalities of it all, my question comes into play with the incident of the golf cart accident, right? Okay. So if he's been drinking and he is operating the golf cart and they get into an accident and she sustains injuries, how is that relevant to her claim of domestic violence against her?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Is that just like an accident on the golf cart?
Yeah, like what makes it domestic?
Right.
Like, where's the relational component?
Right.
I see what and that's a very important point. Let me recap. All of these claims, Dustin, live within the ongoing civil custody dispute.
Okay.
So what she's saying, the reason that's conflated, and it's really a good flag on your part, Dustin, to hear that and be like, okay, these other things, I see the relational aspect where this person, in this case, man, because we know it's not always a man.
Yeah.
In this case, this man who you are in a romantic relationship with has physically harmed you. The golf cart incident is an outlier,
right?
Because that is not conducive. That could be you and I in a golf cart. If I'm drinking, you get hurt. That's an accident where you sustained injury, but it's not domestic abuse. So what she's doing is she is naming pretty much a laundry list of different incidents, including the domestic violence. So that's the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco. That's the
incident in the vehicle.
In the vehicle, right, in Atlanta, all this stuff. But even look at Monaco finding a firearm in a Louis Vuitton bag, allegedly. That's not domestic violence either, but she's including it. Why? Let's zoom out. Unfortunately, I've seen this before, Dustin, in these custody disputes, where if the reasoning as to why I should get custody over you is not working, then oftentimes you will start to see this escalation of claim in the custody dispute. Well, Your Honor, it's not just that I'm the, quote, better parent. It's that this person is the abusive parent. So that's what she's saying. She's saying that Jeezy poses a physical threat to baby Monaco in these various ways. And she's listing the domestic violence. So this is where he's been violent towards me, Your Honor. This is her claim. This is where he has allowed firearms and things that are lethal weapons to be in reach, physical reach of my daughter. Here's where, because don't forget, she's also speaking about a child that's not even hers, right? The 6-year-old.
She's painting a picture.
She's painting a very detailed picture, Dustin. That's exactly right. Where it's like, Your Honor, look at all of these different instances where maybe he wasn't raising a hand to me on the golf course, but he was so irresponsible in his choices. Negligent, reckless, getting behind the wheel. And by the way, but if you don't know, let me flag for you. Yes, you can get a DUI driving a golf cart. I've tried that type of case before.
Wow.
Now, he did that's not in this case today, but that could apply. Anyways, Your Honor, these are all, I've listed 4 different ways. He put his hands on me. He put firearms within reaching distance of my daughter. I'm hearing he put firearms in distance to his other children. And he's inebriated behind a golf cart. And we both. She's even basically saying, Dustin, he's a danger to himself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's read between the lines. So she's saying, for all of these reasons, Your Honor, Monaco should be
primarily under my care.
Yeah, and solely in the custody of me and my mother. So this is a lot. As you said, it's full stop, zero room for anything when it comes to physical or emotional domestic abuse of any kind. And also, of course, Jeezy remains innocent until proven guilty, because that, per these dates, probably is still an option. I would have to look, Dustin, at the exact statute of limitations in the state of Georgia or California, because that's where both of these look like they occurred. But most of them probably have at least a 2 to 3 year window, if not more, of statute. And these incidents happened relatively recently. So we're talking about 2002, 22, 23. So she could also file criminally. She has not done so yet. Right now, this is staying and living within the confines of a broader custody dispute, in which now the physical assault, the domestic violence allegations are coming to light. This is the first time we as the public are seeing them.
So question, whether she elects to pursue the criminal charges, right? Because as you said, right now it's just in the space of the custody conversation.
Civil complaint.
Right. Once you throw shit like that out there, though, can it become like something that is out of her control?
1,000%.
Right. Like can't the prosecutor decide to say, hey,
that's it,
we're going after that?
A prosecutor can, and they oftentimes will, Dustin Ross, move forward with the criminal prosecution piece with or without the urging or the prompting of the alleged victim.
So yeah, again, keep your hands to yourself. You know what I mean? That's how you avoid all this. But it's just interesting the way that these dominoes are knocked over sometimes, and the sequence of things.
Sure. Because but for this custody dispute, we would have to reasonably conclude that we would never have even heard of these allegations. Now, the photos will have to be examined and determined to be credible, right? Because again, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because these things wouldn't have even applied just 10 or 15 or 20 years ago when I was even in law school or a baby public defender. We can't discount AI. Like, so if I'm Jeezy's defense lawyer, let's talk about what those defense arguments look like, right? I'm saying, Your Honor, we don't even know if those photos are real. Literally. Because that's where we live. We live in a deep fake, artificial intelligence era. We're going to get more on that later. That's it. You know what I mean? So that's my first point. How do we even corroborate the veracity, the authenticity of these photos? So that's one point of defense for Jeezy.
Also, the photos that we saw in the filings that were just uncovered, those photos of the physical damages that she received, those were from the golf cart accident, right? Correct. Were there any photos of physical,
the hemorrhaging and some of that? I have not seen that, but again, if it caused hemorrhaging, one, which is her complaint in the closed fist in the car situation, if it made contact, hit her on the cheekbone and the eye to the point where it caused hemorrhaging, one would suspect that would have required medical attention, right? So now we're talking about a hospital record, some type of patient intake, in which case photos normally accompany that. So we can't assume that we have all of the evidence. It's very possible, Dustin, that there's more to come, that Jeannie and her legal team have decided to what we call the trickle down effect of this evidence, and that we will be seeing more as the proceedings continue. And it's like I said, for this one, I got to go past, it's just more drama. This is just sad.
Very sad.
Very sad. Very sad. Very sad. Mainly for young Monaco, who was a little innocent girl who didn't ask to be here. And I'm seeing a lot of things online. I would love to know what your comments, when you look at your followers and what they're saying in the comments. But 2 things I'm mainly hearing. I'm hearing one argument that says, y'all are wild. Some of y'all are wild for this. I know it wouldn't be our Holding Court listeners.
No, not the jurors. Certainly not the jurors.
No. But, the common folk.
Right.
The common folk in the comments saying things like, well, that's what he gets. Guilty or not guilty for daring to cross the color line of dating and marriage, because you went, Jeezy, thinking the grass was greener and married this Asian woman, and now she's got you on the ropes with these accusations.
Something that people have completely made up themselves, but continue.
Literally, as if as if this same fact pattern couldn't and doesn't occur
to black women every single day.
So that's what you get, Negro argument, I'm hearing.
And would you rather have it been a black woman? Like, what the fuck are you saying?
No, I'm gonna tell you what you know what they're saying. They're saying that you, Jeezy, black man in America, wealthy, powerful black man in America, are even having to deal with the trauma of all of this again, and these comments, Dustin, don't take into account guilt or not.
Right.
They're just saying the fact that this is even something that you have to deal with is punitive because you dared not choose us as black women. That's an argument I'm hearing.
What a terrible argument. But go ahead.
No, it's an asinine argument.
I mean,
to the point where it doesn't even
so
deserve
immature.
Too much analysis. And I'm gonna leave it right there. Now, the other argument I'm hearing is critical of Jeannie, saying, well, again, this is what you get. This is what you deserve because you came over here
thinking it was cute,
thinking it was going to elevate your career, thinking this, what
did she say? I like my dark meat on the side.
This dark meat side piece really, really, really gave it to you. I'm hearing that as well, which is as asinine.
Very asinine. She did make comments.
Oh,
that
she did, which
people,
I thought those comments were horrendous. But
they were
that's
very,
just me.
no pun intended, off color.
Very off color.
Okay. But that has nothing to do with someone
Correct.
suffering, the perils of domestic abuse and domestic violence. So people really need to grow up. Grow up and learn how to really see things for what they are. That's ridiculous.
This is not a get back situation, and everything ain't that. And again, it's childish, it's immature, and it lacks a certain level of empathy and really just adult understanding.
Absolutely.
So yeah, let's move on from that. But Jeezy is vehemently denying all of this, and also if I'm well, it depends on the real facts, and Jeezy's lawyer will know more of them than I do. At some point, ma'am, if it's all of this, where's the criminal complaint? Right? I'm gonna button it up right here, jurors. Just keep in mind, see something, say something. In no reality am I suggesting or encouraging silence when it comes to abuse being suffered.
Absolutely not.
Okay? That again, as Dustin said, full stop, period on that. And also be just mindful, just have knowledge, right? That when we make claims that might be for the sole purpose of this or that, custody or divorce, I've seen, right? Oh, well, Your Honor, he's trying to say it's a no-fault divorce. Well, it's important to me to have it on the record that it was a fault divorce, right? So let me now bring these allegations up. Know that containment does not start or stop with your intention.
Yeah. Once you introduce it.
Correct. It's
now on the floor.
Has and will go a myriad of ways.
Yeah.
So we will follow this, y'all. Y'all seeing just how quick we can't even get the episode out before these facts.
I mean, damn.
Okay, so moving on to another one that we've already discussed, season 3 out the gate and already back on the docket. He'll probably be on the docket every week.
I believe so.
Sean Puffy Combs now filing to dismiss some, not all, but some of the sexual assault claims against him. When you saw this, Dustin, what did you think?
I didn't know what to think because, again, I have personal hard lines, full stops when it comes to moral issues.
Yes.
And things that
Did y'all hear that? Dustin Ross is a principled man. Those that don't know, you might not know.
They might not know.
He very much so is.
So I have a difficult time, moving beyond that piece. But if we're looking at it through the lens of this show and the way we discuss topics, I found it interesting once I dug a little bit deeper, which I'm sure you'll go into. Exactly what the lawyers were doing and saying. Yeah.
So let's get into it. So a motion has been filed in New York State Court. So this is not federal. This is the New York State part of the claim, saying that Sean Combs cannot be sued. So they're saying that he's precluded.
Yes.
He's immune from any liability here. Why? Because at least 2 of the laws that are being asserted here by the claimant, alleged victim, her name is Joy Dickerson Neal, the complainant. She's saying that these things happened in 1991. And she's saying that when she was a wee 19-year-old college student, she went on a date with Sean Combs, and during that, he intentionally drugged her, brought her to her home. I guess they went back to her place, and then he sexually assaulted her after what was an ordinary date. She's also alleging, Dustin, that he videotaped it. And I'm just going to pause for 1 second. I'm not saying Sean did this or didn't do it. We'll see that play out in the court of law.
Right.
What I am saying is, if you have a mind to do something that could be construed as a crime, I want you to think long and hard about videotaping it or taking photos.
You hear that, Instagram people?
That's it. And I'm saying this with no snark in my voice, because when I'm with this whole like last few years, Dustin, since Me Too to this moment moments that I'm sure will come forward eventually, there's a argument that's like, but that's what people do, right? Like this notion of whether it's hip hop stars or finance bros or politicians, or there's almost like there's a sexual proclivity. I mean, let's just name it, because we've grown.
Yeah.
There are some that is a part of their what do you call it? Like their not their ticks, but their
kinks.
Yeah, kinks. That's the word I was looking for. Where's Mandy when you need him?
We need, because that was a horrible decision, right? Shout out to Mandy.
Shout out to horrible decisions. That's a part of their kink, right? Is that they enjoy the videotape, the photographs, that kind of those tokens, if you will. But I need y'all to expand your vocabulary and know that those tokens, those little trinkets, whatever y'all doing it for, and that's fine, no judgment. But know that whatever you are documenting, and know that you are documenting it, it kind of goes back to the last conversation we had about containment. Yes. You might intend it to just be a keepsake of a night or a moment or particular activity, and it can and will be used against you.
Absolutely. Why?
This ain't even a moral high ground we're standing on right now.
No, this is just like the difference between smart and dumb.
That part.
That's what this is. Why would you record that?
Yeah, and again, that's why I use very specific language. Could be construed as.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying you're doing anything wrong in the video or on the photos. You may be, you may not be. But be mindful of how it can be construed. If
you're doing something that can be considered a crime.
That's it.
To be clear, because you know how people will take this and go left of center from our point, our intended point.
The point is very centered.
We're not talking about sex crimes and things like that. No. We're saying things in general.
In general. So, yeah. Now, moving on from the video piece. So this woman, Miss Dickerson Neal, she just filed this last year, and obviously she's taking, this is important, she was taking advantage of the New York State statute with that look back law. Okay, we're talking about, of course, the Survivors Act. This is the Adult Survivors Act. New York Governor Kathy Hochul signed this in 2022. Before that, in 2019, New York used to have a 3-year statute of limitations on sexual misconduct for civil suits. 2019, the state got a little more sense and said we're going to give it a 20-year look back. But then even that's not enough, right? We're going to, the 20-year was not a look back. The 20-year says if anything happens in 2019 until 2039, okay, so that's the 20-year, you have an opportunity to file. New York State legislature said that's not enough. And people did brilliant work. Again, shout out to Safe Horizon. Shout out to Drew Dixon, which was a leader on that work. And many other advocates and leaders successfully passed this Adult Survivors Act, which says we don't give a damn if it was 40 years ago. That's how Jean Carroll was able to get in Trump's ass. We're going to allow 1 year and 1 year only for you to bring your claim. Come one and come on. If something happened to you that was in violation of your being, entity, in a sexual nature, you have 1 year to bring an Adult Survivors Act claim. And this is the rationale for those that are saying like, oh, okay, that's doing too much. Well, say that to a victim, because oftentimes victims literally, psychologically have suppressed what has happened to them. I've seen for 10 years, Dustin, 20 years, things that happen in childhood, things that happen during their teenage or college years where they have blacked out.
It's very real. You bury it.
You bury it to cold.
Yeah.
So what this is saying, you don't have to bury it any longer, and you don't have to feel regretful that it's too late to do something about it. We're going to give you an opportunity to do something about it. So,
which is how Cassie came through.
Which is literally how Cassie came through right before the buzzer. Yeah. Prompting several other filings right before. And I say the buzzer because it was the end of November of 2023 where this look back window ended.
Closed, yeah.
So this goes back to the legal argument, back to Puff's recent filing by his lawyers to dismiss some of these claims. There's two particular claims he's seeking to dismiss, Dustin. He wants Dickerson Neal's claim of revenge porn and her claim of human trafficking to both be dismissed and with prejudice. Of course, George, you know, with prejudice means to not be brought back before the court again. That means, Your Honor, dismiss it and we don't want to see and hear about it no more. Don't allow an opportunity to refile. Now, I think this language is interesting This, again, is part of her claim. She says, without her knowledge, Sean Combs videotaped the assault and later shared it with several friends in the music industry. That's the revenge porn piece, okay? And he denied the allegation, accused her of seeking to exploit the New York law that temporarily extended the statute of limitations. So he's saying that she exploited the Adult Survivors Act. Now, how do you do that?
How do you
do that, Dustin? I'm looking with a straight face because I don't know how you. Does he mean avail? Does his legal team mean she availed herself to the law?
What him and his legal team mean is some of this shit got to go. Okay, so we gonna see what we can do to move these pieces around on the chessboard. Yeah, that's what this looks like to me.
That a very astute observation. So that's what it is. Remember, in the opening, I said from a legal tactical point, this is not a bad move, and this is what I mean. It's if he had filed to dismiss all claims from all parties. Tactical error. Tactical error. Because now you can't even be taken seriously.
Right.
Because some of this shit is going to go.
Right.
Okay. But to kind of cherry pick here and say, okay, well, this, because also a part of the claim is not just that she's availing herself to the look back statute, the Adult Survivors Act. He's also making a claim that I do think has some legal, I will use the word curiosity. If I'm a judge and you bring this particular reason for dismissal in front of me, I would hear the argument.
Absolutely.
Dustin, the argument is this. Revenge porn, as we know it today, it is statutorily written on the books today, literally did not exist
in 1991.
It didn't exist. The elements of what make it criminal did not exist, were not in play. Also with the human trafficking. We've always had like the Mann Act and things of this nature, but those elements look a bit different from her claim as to how she was, quote, trafficked. So he and his legal team are saying, how can you hold my client liable civilly in a court of law in the state of New York for things that we're not even saying he did or didn't do, although to be clear, they're adamantly saying he didn't do any of it. But they're basically saying whether he did or didn't do it,
he can't be held accountable.
Right. This wasn't even a crime. So basically, like, let's say New York outlaws eating a gallon of ice cream in one sitting. Right. And let's say you and I were big old, sugar addict kids or whatever. And back in 95, we were sitting around on front porches in Harlem, like we
tearing
like
up
to do.
some orange sherbet. Yeah.
Listen, some mint chocolate chip briars. Lemon. What you know about it?
Lemon.
Listen, not lemon. You so... No, butter pecan.
Okay, that's right. Black walnut.
Black
you really want to go there?
Black walnut, pralines and cream.
When I tell you I love pralines and cream ice cream.
I don't even think white people know that flavor exists. I think that is an exclusively black.
Because I want it to be available when I want some.
Listen, and it's not easy to find praline and cream.
Once that secret's out, you know what I mean?
And black walnut, honey, my grandma used to make homemade.
Okay, I can see it.
With the flavoring. You better. I don't know how we got down this path. We got excited about ice cream. But anyways,
something
my
positive.
Ice cream analogy. Yes. Something that actually make us smile.
Okay.
So we was tearing up gallons of ice cream on porches in New York in 1995. And then somebody says, oh, well, we're going to hold Eboni and Dustin liable because they broke the statute. They absolutely were eating more than gallons of ice cream, which is against the law today.
Right.
But we had no knowledge, thus we had no intent of breaking any said statutes or laws in 95 when we ate those gallons, because those were not existing laws.
Yeah.
That's the narrative. So we will see. I can't really sit up here and be like, oh, this is a bullshit dismissal. No, I can't say that.
Well, his legal team is doing literally what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you talk, and this is another point. Now I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute. I really, I practiced defense law for many years, and there's a lot that comes with that. And one of the main things is, how can you defend guilty people, or how can you do this and da da da? Okay, well, here's the thing. A lot of our work as defense lawyers is not necessarily, sometimes it is, but not always, carte blanche defending guilty acts.
Right.
A lot of our work is working on behalf, as every lawyer is supposed to do. We put our hand on a Bible, most of us, and take an oath as we are sworn into office in our various jurisdictions, Dustin, and we say we will zealously advocate for the clients we represent. Okay. And a part of that zealous advocacy in this case is doing exactly what you just pointed out, Dustin. This man's legal team is saying, look at the chessboard. What moves strategically can we make to put our client in best position for whatever outcomes are available? And that might tactically mean negotiating a plea at some point, right? Let's just play this out. And if the tactic is to negotiate a plea with New York State, which, by the way, could very well happen, because who wants to take this shit to trial? Another conversation for another day. I'm sure we'll get to it on a future episode of Holding Court. Okay. You know what makes my negotiation more favorable? Go back to that zealous advocacy for my client, in this case, Mr. Combs, is if I've already preliminarily taken some of the claims off the table.
For sure.
So now that's not working against my interest in the plea bargaining situation across from the opposing counsel. Okay. In this case, New York, they're not saying, well, we'll toss this for you. No, you don't have to toss it for me. I already had that toss. The judge tossed that 8 months ago. That's the tactical play.
It's akin to getting hair extensions, right?
Oh, I love a good clipping. Now, what you about to talk about?
And what are you going? And what you gonna do? You're gonna make sure I'm not gonna tell who your glam is, but I was about to say the name. Yeah. You and that person are going to take that razor.
That's it.
And you're gonna thin those tracks out. You're gonna thin that out so that it blends, and you're gonna thin it down to exactly what you need. It's the same thing.
It really is. Well, shout out to T. Cooper. She's T. Cooper. She's a good juror to us.
Yes, she is. We love you, T. Cooper.
Yeah, she's beat my face many a time.
One of the best in the business.
Best in the business. Giving my dear Dustin here some nice grooming.
Oh, very, very groomed me. Had me at BravoCon looking right.
Listen.
Okay.
Our photo shoot for our first cover art for Holding Court. Yeah, shout out to T. Cooper.
Yeah.
That's all so far with these current dismissals. Y'all, we will keep following the puff of it all because for sure there's more to come.
There's so much more to come.
Last but not least here, we prepped this one. I really don't have any interest or taste, Dustin, for these rudimentary, and that's the word I'm going to use, rudimentary rap beefs, so-called beefs, that I feel like are all industry planted, by the way. I think people are bored and they don't have anything to do.
What you arguing about?
What are y'all talking about?
You both used to date this person. So what? Grow up. You said you didn't like their music. So what? Grow up.
Yeah, and it's just not giving.
No.
Lyrically, it's not giving. I'm not really buying the venom. Because that's the thing. Like when we go back to, of course, the greatest of them all, which was Biggie and Pac, it obviously it went too far. We now know. But we all bought in.
Yeah.
Because the veracity, the venom of the real animosity. And by the way, they started as friends, or certainly comrades at least. So those were real relationships. So when the beef emerged, people were really invested because there was an authenticity there. I think one of the things I find just downright annoying about these current beefs, Dustin, ain't nobody thinking about Drake and Kendrick. Like what? In what world?
It's a lot of posturing going on.
So anyways, Drake is Drake, I can't say he's being sued because this actually was able to be handled like gentlemen. Prior to actual litigation. I know you do.
Yes.
This goes back to the very first episode, y'all. Season 1, episode 1 of Holding Court, where Dustin introduced
keeping it player.
Keeping it player.
You got to keep it player sometimes.
Yeah, and this is just, it applies, it's genderless, right?
Absolutely.
But I do sometimes like a little bit of a traditional, just a gentleman's handshake.
Sometimes you have to do that. You have to learn how to lean into that sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So fortunately, Drake did not have to take this one to trial. He acted like he had just a little bit of act right. He has now removed a track called Tailor Made from his social media profiles. He did post the song. Originally, it was a diss track towards Kendrick Lamar. And again, maybe I'm on TE for a reason, and generationally, this one might be beyond me. I think also I need a beef, especially a rap beef, to be of equals.
Well, yeah, Kendrick Lamar has a Pulitzer Prize. So
what are we talking about, Aubrey?
I mean, it looks different for different artists.
Yeah.
Hey, again, I love rap music. It is a cornerstone of my fundamental being, right?
Yes.
However,
identity.
It's got to make sense.
Yeah, this one ain't making no sense. It's not. So, just on April 19th, Drake posted this song. It was featuring a computer generated, so this is the artificial intelligence of it all, a verse from the late and the very great Tupac Shakur, as well as Snoop Dogg. Now, you got some audacity.
And it's just not a good idea creatively. It's just not a good idea.
Together.
We don't want that.
We didn't ask for it. We don't want it. It don't go together. Anyway.
If this is a diss track, which is motivated by a personal vendetta against someone,
supposedly,
how can you make up a contribution from another artist that doesn't even have a dog in this fight and that literally is dead?
Literally did not exist, was not walking the earth.
It's just stupid.
Tragically. Okay. So anyways, Drake tried it. This is the definition of you tried it.
Very much so.
Very much so. He put this stupid AI-made track out featuring the late Tupac and the very much so still with us, still very much thriving and relevant Snoop Dogg. The lawyer involved in the case, Howard King represents Tupac Shakur's estate. So we know when you are like that legend, so whether it's Prince, Michael Jackson, Tupac, Biggie, these people's estates have attorneys. That's their job. Marvin Gaye, his estate.
Oh, you know that
very busy. Listen, very busy.
They don't even play the radio. They don't play no games
at all.
Okay,
they're on watch.
What? And on ready.
Yeah, that's what they're paid, y'all, a monthly retainer to do.
And they doing their job.
Their job. It's back to whack-a-mole.
Don't believe me? Ask the Blurred Lines brothers.
That's it.
Okay.
You better ask Robin Thicke and Pharrell.
He almost was Robin Thin. Messing around with them lawyers. Okay.
Listen. Oh my God. No, but for real. So this lawyer, Howard King, represents Tupac's estate, and he released this statement. He said the estate is deeply dismayed and disappointed by your unauthorized use of Tupac's voice and personality. Not only is the record a flagrant violation of Tupac's publicity, it's corny. No, they didn't say that. It says Tupac's publicity and the estate's legal rights. It is also a blatant abuse of the legacy, yes, of one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time. The estate would never have given its approval for this use. And that part is
a read.
Because basically what he's saying, without saying but very much saying, is had this been executed a little bit better, there might have been a rate.
But we ain't messing with this bullshit.
Right. There was no rate that would have made this something we would have even agreed to. So with that said, just the cease and desist, right? So no claim had to be filed, no litigation pursued. Drake clearly heard the message loud and clear. He immediately removed it from all the social platforms in which it lived very, very briefly.
Well, that was the perfect out for him, right? Because the song was being panned by everyone that heard it. So, it was a great way for him to get to make the song be forgotten almost by everyone else, because there's so much going on and every day there's a new a layer to this story. So good for him to have an easy out, but that shit was whack in the first place. Like, you never should have done that. And I love Drake's music, but that sucked.
I enjoy. Let me separate myself from you.
Go ahead. Okay, because his music is on my playlist.
No. I enjoy Drake.
My playlist.
But I know what you ain't. I see what you putting down. I know what playlist we talking about.
Putting down.
Playtime.
Hello.
The Playtime list.
That one.
Anyway, Tupac's estate is saying, like, you really, really tried this. You didn't even come to us with a respectable offer to purchase and sample Tupac's voice. You literally just went and created something on artificial intelligence. It's just giving you tried it.
Yeah, I'm glad he handled it the way he handled it.
And you tried it. You tried it, and that's why you pulled that shit right on down.
That's right.
Well, thank y'all for joining us for another episode.
Hey, this ain't no damn AI. Okay?
No, please don't ever try it over here.
No.
When it comes to the voices and the artistry that is Dustin Ross and Eboni K. Williams, because our estates will haunt you.
With that AI, get us on your ASS.
On your ASS.
That's right.
ASAP.
How about that? Come on.
Ain't nothing slow over here, baby.
That's it.
All right, Jules, for real. Clearly, y'all can tell we love being back.
Yes, we do.
We love being back. We love being back with y'all. Spring is upon us. That means take your Claritin and put on your sunscreen, black people.
I mean, seriously.
But for real.
I'm locked and loaded over here. Allergy meds up everywhere.
It's called Flonase.
How about that?
They're good friends of mine.
How about that?
In the meantime, y'all stay safe. And what you want the people to do?
Read your terms and conditions.
As always.
Not using AI.
No. Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. We've also got our senior producer, Miss Ashley Hobbs. Creative consultant, Kleinberg. And please, if you love the show, follow us on Holding Court and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcasts.